Dharmajoba. Can you believe it's August already? Well, that only means one thing. Time for the news in Georgia. That doesn't mean the one thing, only time for news in Georgia, but I'm going to do the news in Georgia for you. So we're going to look at our first news event, and we can see the EU has a delegation in Georgia. They're going to discuss being a part of the EU. I don't know why Georgia wants to be a part of the EU. They were part of the Soviet Union. They got out of that. Russia invaded Georgia. They got out of that. They wanted their independence. Now they want to be dependent on someone again. You see, my personal opinion, EU doesn't do. Well, you see what's happening in the EU. The price of the euro is crashed. You see the Brexit, where England got out of the EU, and their money is doing quite well. Probably the strongest out of the EU, US, and Great Britain. So I don't think the EU is the way to go. I think Georgia should be more like Switzerland. Just be neutral. Don't depend on any one country, the US or China or Russia, and just be their own little country. And Switzerland's done quite well that way. So let's see what happens. But I think they already had a vote last month or so, and they didn't get into the EU. So I don't think they're going to get into the EU actually, especially if with Russia, what they're doing in Ukraine. So Georgia, just stay out of the EU. You'll be happy. That's why I came to Georgia, to get out of the US, get out of the EU, be an independent country. But all right, let's get to our next story. All right, next story: business and the economy. So big news. Actually, a friend of mine. I haven't been to this place, Tusheti. As you can see, the road to Tusheti to be modernized, and $34 million project, which is kind of a big deal. A friend of mine in Georgia, he says, "Have you been to Tusheti?" I said, "No, I haven't." He said, "You got to go to Tusheti." And we're going down to Tel Aviv from my village. We're driving more. Oh, Tusheti, you got to go to. He said he bought a 4-wheel drive. So we're driving in his 4-wheel drive truck. He said, "I only got this truck." He doesn't speak English, but I'll translate for you. "I only got this truck so I can drive to Tusheti. Me and my wife would go there 2 weeks every year." He says, and there's where I live, you can see the mountains. He says, "See the mountains up there?" He said, "On the other side, Tusheti, up in the mountains. You got to go." He said, "Can't go now because the roads are bad." He says, "In a few more months you can go. It takes 4 or 5 hours to drive. It's only about I forget what he said, 30, 40 kilometers, not that far. It takes 5 hours to drive because the roads are so bad. That's why I got this truck." So every 5-10 minutes he's talking about Tusheti, until we got to where we're going. But he loves Tusheti. He always goes to Tusheti. So now you see they got this road, which will be, I think it's good for everybody. That well, it might be bad for everybody actually, because he said the people in the village there in the mountains, they don't really want outsiders coming in, even Georgian outsiders. They want to kind of keep to themselves, have their own little community. They're not really focused on tourism. So I think this road is going to be a good thing, but a bad thing. I guess Georgia doesn't get that many tourists, but and this is going to be quite a far drive from Tbilisi or some of the other bigger cities. But you got to have tourism to make money, but tourists tend to change the whole way of life. But we'll see what happens with that. Let me see what we got on this project. So it's going to be 72 kilometers. And so it's already started in August. So actually that's where my friend lives, in Tel Aviv. And that's where the road's going to start. So you got to get up to Tel Aviv. It's about 2.5 hours outside of Tbilisi. Got to go up through the mountains. It's not a bad drive, but it's a small road also, so it's not going to be that good. and you're going to go 2,950 meters above sea level on the road. The road is narrow and landslides often occur. So they said traffic on the road is possible for only 4 to 5 months of the year. And this will be completed gradually in 2025. It's a few more years. At the end here it says, the road to Tusheti is regarded as one of the most dangerous and at the same time beautiful roads in the world. So there you have it. They're not going to be the most dangerous anymore. I don't know if that means it won't be the most beautiful either. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. But it'll be easier to get to Tusheti now. Let's see our next story. All right, our next story is going to be social and society. Let's see what we have in store. All right. Up to 15 streets in Tbilisi will be named after Russia-Georgia war heroes, which is about 15 years ago. They had the little war in Georgia with Russia. So just show a little respect for the Georgians who lost their lives. Even some journalists lost their lives in this kind of small war. I think it was only like 5 days or a week. How many people still died, and Russia still occupies some territory in Georgia, just like they're trying to do with Ukraine. But I think everyone pretty much gets along. It's not such a, I don't say it's not a big deal. It's a big deal, but it's not such a big deal. There's people. Before, people used to go back and forth between Georgia and Russia, no problem. Georgians would go to Russia, they'd have family there, they'd come back and forth, easy to travel, no problem. I even have some older friends, I guess they don't have to be too older, but they're older than me. I was talking to one of them, I asked, did you like it, Georgia before, with the Soviet Union, or now under how things are with Russia? He said he actually liked it better when there was communism in Russia. It wasn't Russia, but the USSR. So, I mean, I guess there's good and bad, but when Soviet Union got out, they stopped paying, they stopped giving money to these little parts of the Soviet Union. So now they had to make their own money. They're independent, which they want independence, but they also liked when the Soviet Union came in and built things and made things and did mining and did business and gave people jobs. It was, just give or take, but that's why, like on that other story, why now Georgia wants to get mixed up with the EU. So it doesn't make sense to me, but I live out in the country, so I don't know if it matters too much. Anyway, let's look at our next story. Now to sports. Let's take a look. Georgia women's chess team wins silver medal of 44th Chess Olympiad. That's a pretty big deal. People might not think it's a sport, but I play all sorts of sports, but I think this is kind of interesting chess. I'm not that good at chess, but I like it. But I think I'd go watch it. Let's take a look. In 2008 Olympics, the Georgian women's chess team showed the best results and won a medal at the Chess Olympiad for the 9th time in the history of independent Georgia. I think they've only been independent for about 10 years, but still. They're actually in India, where they had this contest. That's kind of interesting. Actually, the Ukrainian women's national team became the Olympic champion. The Indians women's team took 3rd place. That's pretty good. Big international field. Georgia did pretty well. So we got some sports in Georgia. I think I'm going to go watch some chess the next time I'm available. Probably going to mostly be in Tbilisi or Batumi, but maybe I'll take a little trip. It's only a couple hours. I think Tbilisi is about 3 hours from anywhere. So not too bad. All right, let's look at our next story, culture. So I was going to do a story about a successful Georgian pianist in New York, but then I saw something more, which is pretty nice looking, so it won't be too bad. But more interest to me, believe it or not, is this next story I'm going to show you. Let's take a look. So I have another property in southern Georgia, and the story, as you see, Vardiza, is history etched in stone. My little house, I don't know if you watch some of my other videos, my mini ranch house, the Double Cross Ranch, is very close to here. My place is It's a good location because there's a lot of touristy things. There's forts. There's these this story I'm about to tell you now. There's a whole church and community that's carved into stone. So this is quite interesting. Let's take a look. This is the Georgian cave complex of Vardeza. It's been around for a long time. They have a monastery there that's still in use, and many caves are still capable of providing adequate shelter. So to get to the complex, it's you gotta go through a winding valley, and it's along the river. So one of the first preserved rooms in this place is a dining facility with seats and crude tables still lining the sides of the hall. So basically it's just a long stone bench and a table where the monks would consume their simple rations of bread and wine. That's not too bad. Some of the other cave compartments have visible signs of smoke, alluding to the use of campfires in the complex. Because they wouldn't be campfires if they lived there. But fires in the complex either way. This area was heavily trafficked road for trade and military travels. There's probably a lot of artifacts if you look in the roads, on the side of the roads, and looked around for it. So as a result, many merchants and traders would use the exposed caves as temporary lodging. So this, I guess that's where you get the campfire residue from. They also have a church of Dormition, and the walls are covered in wonderfully preserved artwork. And these paintings are breathtaking. I'm reading this, and UNESCO states that they are of crucial significance in the development of the medieval Georgian mural painting. So they have one a particular note is an inscription that only Tamar has, saying, "God grant her a long life." So this is kind of interesting. This complex. Scenes of the life of Christ cover the remaining wall space. It's very interesting. Quite a long story. I'm not going to read it all, but you want to come see it, you can stay at my house. I'll rent it to you. Good price. Very cheap. Very close by too. Right on the river. You can just take a raft on the river. Actually, I'm going to have some kayaks to rent also, so you can kayak over to this. Actually, you have to go kayak upriver, but that's up to you. Anyway, so that's the news for August of this year, and it's a little hot. As you saw, if you watched the other video on the weather, it's getting pretty hot. It's raining, quite rainy. So that's it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.